Hi, today I'm going to talk about fascism and anarchy. First of all, I'm going to be talking about some really weird stuff that you were conditioned to reject or change the subject or not pay attention or diminish, consider as being crazy, impossible, paranormal, mystic. Some really weird stuff and a weird language also that people don't notice, but that exists to hide stuff and to be able to do stuff you're not allowed to do. It's I'm going to be talking about an underground revolution and an underground mind game and mind space where the alpha needs to clean it. There was a tight knot in the energy. I'm a house. I'm an anarchist first. So let's not get into the house details and the weird occupant stuff because I have occupants that try to occupy my mind. Because most of the time when they say one, well, I'm flashing and I have all this weird stuff happening to me and sabotaging me and giving me trouble and weird reflexes, habits that give me trouble. Whenever I go daydreaming or I'm on the autopilot, I'm always doing something that's gonna put a stick in my wheels, or I'm like example yanking on the women that are in a couple. So that's a good opportunity to maybe have a beating one of these days because you're always loving somebody's woman. Fuck ups like that fascists give me. So first of all, I talk about my vision of anarchy. Well, just basic imagery. Um, what I see for anarchy is they say it's more socialist. I'm gonna try to find an image I printed out. Um, they say it's more left and socialist because it's for the people and it's power to the people. But even though it's more to the left than to the right, I would want to consider that it's actually central. It's keeping right from killing left and left from killing right. It's a conflict zone. There is a conflict zone in anarchy where minds collide and opinions and theories and religions and human existence and clans and races and whatever. There's a anarchy for me is mental. I explain for that later. So I'd place it in the middle. The two bars of the anarchy would be the right wing and the left wing being equal and collaborative. Because in anarchy, there's room for everything, even dealing. Because there's no gods, no masters, and well, no laws. I discussed that a bit. So just that's a brief. For me, I think it's more logical because in anarchy, you can't keep somebody from being right because you're supposed to let everybody free. So you can't. That's why I figure that since it's accepting right and participating and collaborating with the right wing, I place it in the center, keeping the balance, not having either wing take advantage of the other. But parenthesis, love against fire and temptation. Evil fascists, Nazis, and all that. The narcissists have the fire that kind of stresses you, burns you, and keeps you tense. And then they'll shove you on a need or a want, or you're wanting something right now. And it makes you burn people when you say want. They burn them and they fall on their sexual chakra on this feeling of envy or wanting or needing, need. Uh, so fascist plays a lot with that. What was I saying? I got away my mind. So, anyways, anarchy would balance both out. So I'd say it's central and it's neutral. because it's equality, thus neutral between left and right. Uh, Let me just find this image. I'll start by describing what fascists actually do, what fascism and Nazis and Trojan horses and war, what became war, what yeah, and how they do war, how they communicate in war, how and the techniques. I'm trying to find this image right now. Um, where did I put that anarchy image? Is it on the? Is it in here? Where did I save that? Ah, well, I'll try to keep on speaking, even though I'm doing something else in the meantime. Affiche. What's this one? No correction. Activism. Why is it not here? One of these, maybe? Ah, there we go. Okay, I'll print this out in order to show you a bit what I mean. So let's talk about fascism. Fascism, according to me, I'm not a specialist or somebody that studied in politics or nothing like that, but I did think a lot about politics in my life, being an anarchist and sticking with punks and being a hippie. So I say that fascism is behind intimidation. That's the golden rule of fascism: is they intimidate in order to become boss and to block people's behavior in order to let them be first, and then it's actually this kind of swindle. They manage because they own most medias, and the whole entire world was fascist. Uh, I felt like the last man standing. Everybody, because of these programs, this is the weird, some of the weird stuff. Some words are keywords that open your subconscious and your unconscious and your mind. And while you consult your mind, you're open. And that's when we can tamper with your behavior and the structure of the social structure, and who does what to who, and this and that, and who hooks up with who, in what order, what dynamic, and all that with the words. Movies and divas used to do that negatively for fascism. Hollywood would uh, would serve as this kissing thing with a wand, a Hollywood, a magic wand. Hollywood, holistic. What is Holly's magic? And then with the casting, and then what they do with the casting is they create a program. So they actually program you by using a keyword and then clack, 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 printing the new command, because the words implicate some sort of behavior also and have this magic psychological effect that we don't usually notice. Maybe more awake people with real eyes will see the atmosphere change or see stuff kind of crawl into them, or this knowledge being transferred. Or then they start getting all these things they're convinced of and that they never learned, but they actually know. That's because of the pyramids. We have a next now. The bottom pyramid is fascist and dictatorial and for evil people, and the top pyramid, it actually didn't change. It's all, yeah, hierarchy is fascist because it's putting somebody more important than another. So that's some sort of fascism, because what fascism encourages is, well, what it does is it makes people feel like they're not okay, and it cuts because it programmed all the blues in the past when the pyramid existed. Ah, well, it still exists, but in the basement or in the garbage. And the pyramidal effect would do is whoever was on top was God for the rest below, and he could dictate or command and directly influence people's behavior just by speaking speeches. And then they'd have divas enchanting people. It's some sort of enchantment because narcissists and the right wing were first, and the bullies and all that were first to have magical powers or psychic powers, telepathy, clairvoyance, and the, the capacity to command the human brain from a distance, like a program. So they get inside your head. There's all these tubes and this, because I feel energy. It's this dough and this tape that looks like a long sock, women's socks, long, semi-transparent, the one they rob with, that are kind of transparent, des collants in French. Well, it's kind of those things that inside there's crunchy things. All the crunchy stuff is bad things they recorded inside of this tunnel that when you're in your mind you kind of travel in this those stuff that hardens when you're not active. Sometimes there's a fountain in there, but for on my side there's always these objects that are haunted because they get inside you and they make you kiss, or when they say the first thing you look at is gonna kiss you back, or when you kiss an object to propagate a mental change you did in the structure or behavior of people who are in trios. You program people to get them to change order and behavior and stuff like that, colors. Then you can do that just by speaking when you're black and when you're on top. So that hierarchic thing would give way too much power to just one person that could actually decide whatever. And what they were doing since the Egyptians was they created this illusion and this system that would enslave people and make a god out of a man, while it's the consciousness, according to me, the consciousness of people that's collective in this collective psychic mind space that creates this force, this entity that they call God. But I'd say it's a collective soul that occupies human beings, and that will act in the name of God, because God can be an individual when he's on top of that pyramid. So that would end up that everybody wanted to be on top, so everybody ended up in this race to be better than everybody else. That's a fascist illness, betterness, and because they always have to be best and better and all that. But what they actually do is kill the best, because the best is the natural born leader. It's Jesus Christ. It's John. They call you my best when they're after you, trying to kill you. They did that to me. I was my best. I used to be a little winner, good at sports, best picker, best this, best that, second that, pretty good scores, very high. I wasn't the best because I was marginalized and distracted. I'd never study. I'd get 80s, 90s. So and I was a king of the mountain on the pile of snow, and I had all the girls and all that. And then when I started dealing, same thing. I had the girls I wanted, and because I was a con, I was vicious. So that's one illness that fascists have, is they have to prove themselves to one another. And the way they do that is with artificial values. That with this behavior they gave to blue people that were alphas, that were clairvoyant, that could enter you and give commands to your mind and make you do stuff. Those narcissists, the mind control, stuff like that, the way they occupy your mind, uh, would be able to make you do whatever you want. And when you're in my position, in the chief, first on the pyramid kind of thing, because I'm one, Most of the time, sometimes somebody, there's this thing happens, I end up being two for a little while, but sometimes it's because that person's inside me and I'm cleaning him up, all his energy. So, and he's me in the meantime. That's why I end up being two. I don't know. But one usually is me, or when I'm with someone, we might pass one because we're passing it. So whoever has it is one. So you go one, two, one, two, one, two. It's usually trios, one, two, three, one, two, three, one, two, three. I had this other video that talks about trios versus quadrats. How trios are conflictual because it leaves always one person out, not doing what they want, following or obeying or serving. So, and then the quadrat, that would be equal. There would be two of each sex and equal teams and stuff like that. The only problem is for votes. But if you vote equal, you do both. Because you have to please everyone in anarchy. So fascism, since the Egyptians maintained this hierarchy, and its classes, and then in army there was hierarchy, in the church there was hierarchy, in the Greeks, and the Greeks communicated with the Egyptians and they shared the emerald tablets for alchemy. Alchemy is magic and the behavior of elements and molecules, and it's the origin of chemistry and physics and math. Math was more algebra, but alchemy does like fire, water, air, all those elements, earth. Uh, there's this magical effect that you can feel that your spirit feels, and it's and everything is spirit, mind, or thought, and soul. According to alchemy, those are the three basic elements. That I'd say there's probably an essence, the fourth one, and ideally there'd be five to make like a pyramid structure. There'd be four at the base and one on top, making a pyramidal 3D instead of just a 2D triangle or V. So basically, oh, this is what I wanted to print out. See the red ranch, the blue ranch, the Ankh and the hierarchy are down here. Ankh is the key to the heart. When you say Ankh, this thing crawls to your sternum and touches and kisses a point of your heart. That's where you change your habits to the Ankh instead. And English people thank you a lot. Whenever they thank you, you go kiss your heart and update. Their update. And when they were evil, well, evil would take over because they were on top. So the NK for Ankh, and then it's the G for the Freemasons have the G4. So letters all do something. They all have this magical effect when you're open and you're dealing in the black or alpha zone, the faster frequency mind operation. That's where all the anarchy exists and fascism works. That's how fascists took over the world and had everybody for this race for wealth and material and power and winning and best and being best and wow, all and all and while they were playing this, I gotta be better and get a good position kind of thing in society. Then once they get it, they start being condescending and or fresh or whatever attitude, or they have to prove to you that you're inferior in some sort of way. They're always nice, but they kind of prove to you you're inferior. This attitude, and then they make people uncomfortable with themselves. They cut the energy with those blues that are all locked together. It creates this hardened energy that blocks the chakras and the entrance. Because I have an ET grail, a way up here. I have the whole way from bottom. I have air from the basement and from the roof, from the crown. It's all air conditioning. It's this energy tasting stuff. It's better than a drag of snow. And I got that every breath, and I got the red finger ding, ding, ding of ET. And I kind of feel like an extraterrestrial because everything I say is out of this world. All that mind control stuff and telepathy and psychic and the universe and blah blah light and matter's light and all that. So what we basically did, and what fascists basically did, is they eliminated all pagan and aboriginal cultures in the name of God, capitalism, Rome, Egypt, or Greece or something. Uh, and they conquer. They kind of have this predatorial attitude. They always have to go further because one of them has to conquer the world. Because the game won't be done until somebody's master of the world and owns all the countries or stuff, something like that. I don't know when they decided to stop that silly game. That's enslaving most people and keeping 1% with all the wealth. So from Egypt, that had those energy pyramids and necropolis, and it was all fascism is all about killing people and being master, AM alpha master. And then for the alpha or the Aryan, Aryan was more Nazi will to be Aryan, which is Indo-Aryan, brown-haired people. It's nothing to do with the blonde. But Alpha's kind of, I think the Aryans are Alpha. Alpha is actually one of the best mind states and positions because you're the alpha male, you're the leader. If you're a leader, it's okay because people want to follow you. That would be an anarchist principle, leadership. Dictatorship or commanding. Well, commanding would be more in the middle, used just for conflicts when you don't have time to explain. If you need something done now, you command without being condescending about being the one able to command, because you don't want to create a conflict or people hating you or stuff like that. And then there's the dictature. Dictature, when you're on top and you say something dictated to somebody, you just have to talk and it prints on the right here. When you say right here, that's where you write. That's where your stomach prints. The information on the tape, on the energy tape that I feel in my head. Uh, just put the music down a bit. Uh, so fascism is very predatorial. After Egypt, Rome conquered Egypt and the Roman Empire. Oh yeah, Hermetic. Greeks shared Hermetic stuff with thought. They got thought. Everything comes from thought and words. When you think of it, it's from the mind. The mind creates reality, and the spirit and the soul, and essence, I see, or at least. Uh, So by elaborating theories and writing religious books, we create this reality. And by creating by believing in God and the Christian church, when the church is hierarchic, there's one above all, and Benedict is Bene goes for Beni, which is blessed, and then dict. It says dict is a tense of the verb dictate. So the blessed one dictates. Benedict, that was the Nazi pope that got evicted, that was got impeached or something. So they would actually dictate. And by doing the homilie and the sermons and all that, they would program the community with the keywords, and then they say the proper commands, and people would behave a certain way, changing the social structure and dynamic according to that way. You just have to say, fuck this person, and that person will get troubled or cleaned and will change. Because people will be fucking is war and changing people and making them love stuff. That's the whole thing. And then by loving them, they end up becoming like you and loving what you want. Look at Nazi skinheads. They have red mohawks now. Because they were followed by punks all their life. So they infiltrate, fascism infiltrates underneath and corrupts and scares from underneath. That's a fascist technique. And by scaring people and keeping them from being John and to speaking nosy kind of way, that the nosy way of speaking actually kills the evil, the Skeletor, not He-Man. And when you're a kid, I mean, honest and straightforward and innocent and all that, and you're not paying attention of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and where you're saying it, and to who you're saying it, it's just an affirmation That's the best means of protection you have against evil and swindlers and liars and cheaters and hypocrites that are all fascists. Fascists won because they were hypocrite and traitors. They would screw you over all the time. And when there's two fascists together, one of the two is trying to kill the other. If the two aren't doing it, because that's what they do. They befriend you and kill you by making you party, giving you bad habits, introducing this and that into your life that they know that will stay. And sometimes they'll manipulate your mind for you to think about it all the time. Like this line thing that pokes your nose all the time. It's annoying when you're an addict. You get this thing, poking your nose and your knee every 5 minutes, or every time you're doing something that you're used to do. Well, they tell you rub it a bit, rub it a bit. So you're always leaning on it and playing up in your nose. It makes you want to snort something. That's a fascist technique, because fascism is basically organized crime taking the government. And then there's this kind of degree. There's good fascists that won't kill or this and that, but try to privatize, because that war game is also an economical game, because they thought that money was power, which is not. Money confers some sort of authority when you have lots of it, because you can own media and information, whoever does speeches or songs to people, or TV shows or theater or operas. All those performances will affect and change people and program them, because people learn how to spell in English, and those spells are real. Magic is real. Illusion is real, and you can invoke people that are dead, and the person in front of you will start talking like them. You say, I can swear I hear my father speaking, but he's dead. He's been dead for 5 years. That's because his spirit still exists. He came back. Somebody took him, brought him back. And an open person that's more beta, non-resisting, will fit into the compartment it's given and act like that person. That's person's spirit. It will take over and override its consciousness and not be behaving like that person and speaking like them, using the same words and pausing and diminishing and all the same tone and all things. Like you swear it's the same person speaking. And then you can get people from 2,000 kilometers away pop up in one of your friends and come and visit you. I think that's what I've been doing, because everybody seems to know me. Because I had this rapper group that showed one of the rappers with a Jesus Christ head, as if Jesus would have infiltrated the evil gangsters and all that. So fascism is a bit relying on intimidation in order to stay in power, to restrict people's behavior. And then they started being cool and showing some of the power just to the women. And then the women they'd hear the voice and be able to communicate between the V's. They do this to identify themselves. The V, or like this, with the right arm, or like this, because they're clairvoyant, and like this, because they have all the info and they're leader. They're on top. So they actually managed to fool people into playing this silly game that's a domination game. And they taught them not to touch love. And then when you touch love, people get what they want, or the last thing they looked at, or what they love. So if the person was be smoking, and that's with the sex chakra, it's also a phone. You can talk to people in their minds when you connect with that. And when you connect to that, when you connect to the person in front of you, you see what they're thinking about. The object or the person they're focused on will glow, will flash, blink when people talk. That's the clairvoyant thing. So they would identify themselves, and then they would have this secret collaborating system. They'd become collaborators, both or all or the ones that would be able to communicate, to talk in each other's minds. Okay. Um, so this thing, the Marilyn Monroe like this, well, she was working for fascist. Hollywood is fascist. Burger King is fascist. McDonald is biker. MC McDonald is motorcycle club. The Don is old. The bikers are screwing with the mafia. they're kind of going, you're old. We want to replace you with McDonald. Donald. The Americans are saying the same with Donald Trump in some sort of way, because that's the bird language. The bird language is plain, it's the basis of war and illegal stuff and secret stuff. Because it's this word game that you can buy with a magical, with love, you can tag a sequence into things, your objects or letters or numbers, whatever, persons, but whatever you look at, the order in which you look at, they'll leave a bit of love, and then you'll leave a trail to the next one. So they'll kind of connect and make this lock for whatever. At the end, you put the spell, or you just put a sequence in the syllables or the parts of words or the letters, and you can the subconscious will really do the order that's other than the real order from left to right, and it'll cap the other meaning of the sentence that the conscious might didn't really notice. And most people don't notice that because they're sleeping, sleepwalking. They're resisting and they're speaking or moving as soon as they're open because TV taught them that to keep them shut, to keep them from realizing the real lies with their real eyes. And that's how fascism, by keeping people blind and magicless, and then they attacked all the magic cultures and pagan cultures that were open and spiritual and connected and clairvoyant and all that. They destroyed all those cultures and conquered them. When Rome started, you have this statue in Rome. It's this wolf female breastfeeding Romulus and Romulus, the two founders of Rome. So they've been breastfeeded by a wolf. So they have a predator instinct and they're meat eaters. And even in the narcissist and fascist way, what they do is they'll exclude the one most likely to succeed. All that's it game. Usually when you say that's it, that will flash. You'll see that who's that in the group. You'll just say, okay, that's it. Your brain knows what that is, so that will appear when you don't think and try to. But what fascists do is they'll change the true that. Well, they'll crucify the that thing by stomping their foot and condescending. And the blue tongue is mantras that are depression cultivating. And they'll tend, well, by the use of words they use, most of the words mean something else that's evil that they do to you. That's what they teach you. And by saying this legal, innocent word, they can mean something terribly scary or intimidating. Or like they could say that they could get into your mind and say, I'll kill you. You'll hear, I'll kill you in your mind. So that's kind of not fun to hear. And if you say, if this guy can make it in my mind and control my breath and all that, make me shit and contract my anus and whatever, and give me cardiac cramps and whatever. So they could play around with your body. So people would get scared and feel non-powerful against that, and they'd always lose. So everybody adopted the king or the vice king and became traitors and hypocrites, and they would all have this game of screwing whoever's in front of them over and trying to take the control. And then they'd have all these commands that would trigger off when they meet someone, and it could take control of that person. And then 80% of the people on earth are under this, they have this hat that makes them behave and believe to this thing and sustain this artificial cage they put in. That's Christianity. Christianity gives you eternal life only if you make it to heaven. What the fuck's that? We're from the universe and we're all eternal, whatever good souls. Bad souls will dissipate and find darkness. And that's what scares them the most. Because they know about spirit. Because you can just pop in somebody's head and make him notice his heart and say, do anxiety and the arrhythmia, and then pop out of him. And then all of a sudden they'll be focusing on that, and then you give them a simulation of a heart attack by touching the sacral chakra. So people got really scared and ended up adopting them. And then, since they had powers, they wanted to learn how to have those powers. So in school, they would teach the kids. The cons were all considered as kids, and they would all bug you and disturb you and be something that keeps you from progressing and being good. And they harass you, depress you, and their trip was to kill the good knight. Because what because they're after the world in all the countries, the first thing you want to do when conventional war after the Second World War, that conventional war kind of went away. It became a city war in Afghanistan or a desert war that wasn't as intense. And this terrorism that Americans would do, blaming others to be terrorists, like narcissists. Narcissists will blame you of doing something you didn't do that's close to what you did, or something they're doing to you. And they'll actually manage to convict you in court. My ex told my girl she destroyed my image of my girl and accused me of doing parental alienation when they were the ones doing the parental alienation. They turned her into Harley Quinn. Là-bas it means over there, but if you split the word in bird language, it's là-bas. It means first, it's when you knock all when you go bowling and you knock all the things down, that's a naba, because they're all white and they fall. So when Johnny talks, it's an abba. Abba is all the whites lose their pants. Well, everyone loses their pants when John talks because he has all the keys. Johnny knows what the keys are. He goes into your mind and he connects and knows it because he's nosy. Uh, So what was I saying? So they all became evil, and this game they taught them at the wall, and then the game was to not to touch about our love, and it only showed as psychic love to women, because what they had to do is take control of the hen to be able to raise the egg. So that's why Don Juan and Jack and all that went with a motherfucker is another war technique. It's because he fucks good couples' mothers and then they actually get interested. They break the couple up, and then they leave that woman so she becomes single parented. So what happens is the motherfucker fucks your wife because you're a good night. What's written on Harley Quinn's baseball bat is good night as in buenas noches. But in bird language, night sounds like a knight in armors. So it means that the bat is meant for the good night. The good night protects good and is a water server that washes you out and protects you from evil. So the victim is the good night. I was a good night. I was a Che. They even got the Versa Che out because it was Versa against Che. Now in là-bas means to beat her. Là-bas, they always something have to go get something là-bas because they have to see beat her, to intimidate you. And then what happened is everybody was intimidating and would become rats and pigs. And they just devour your mind and harass you, molest you, bother you, keep you open. And by just checking and slowly and sucking your energy and then playing with your mind and all that. So what war did after the Second World War is it went underground and it kept a department on the ground. So, and then they were overstanding, so they programmed whoever was below in order to develop this chief creating false chief. Number two would become chief instead of number one, and they associate themselves like being two. And whatever a good one does to print on the rest, two changes and destroys and fascisticides the rest. And then with the TV shows that are new and that speech, it maintains the economy rolling and people consuming by making them think that they're ugly, that they're too fat, that this, their teeth are yellow, their fingers are yellow, their nails are too long, their clothes is old, whatever. Then fashion kicks in, and then they're all glamorous and shiny, like they even shine their girlfriends with car shine nowadays. They have that white spot, that shiny, shiny. How did they get so shiny? I don't want a shiny girl like that. They have long nails. And those must be dirty. but see, they make you feel like you're no one. Or that you unless you own these things or manage to prove yourself, you won't be considered. And then this whole dynamic happens where you're never satisfied with yourself and you always need more. You're never satisfied. That's what fascism do. It blocks your energy. Then cappuccino. You say caput is to break in Russian. Chi is to evoke the chi, the energy that's in the air everywhere that comes in all the chakras. The chi comes out of the solar plexus. Caput, chi, no. That means you break the chi and no, don't give it kind of thing. So when you see cappuccino, it gives this blockage right here. It kind of gets hard, and the energy doesn't come in no more. So you just have to say caput no chi, yeah, and then it open the chi, and then the chi will open, and you'll get the energy flow from the plexus solar. So they cut the energy, and with the names of the things, create dependencies, or with fire and need. And then they'd say, you want all this and you want that. Wouldn't you want that? What do you want? Or I need blah, blah, blah. I need blah, blah, blah. They're always talking about needing, wanting, or having to, or must herd. They're going, you have to catch up, but you must herd your sheep. We must herd. And then relish. Relish is the relic in French. It's a relish my dick. Relic my dick. I don't know what relish means, but you have to play around with the words with bird language because you find the second meaning. Like believe. Believe, it tells the bee to leave. The energy things inside the head, when the bee leaves, it leaves a wire that's bare. And then when the bee comes, it starts wrapping love and energy hard and tape around the wire where you can say stuff on. What good people are the stuff you can't feel that kind of gives this gas away, this metal feeling in your mouth, this money, silver, gold, take some, I think as much as you want. The ET thing, I know it's full. Uh, So they're creating needs for people and then they're selling the needs. And what they're trying to do is to privatize all the state services and everything that exists on the left. And then what they do to do that is they squeeze the people. They break the good couples with the motherfucker. They fuck the resistance. And since they were dominant, whatever they'd say would affect and get people addicted and all that in the resistance and the punks. And then what they did is they parasite all cultural places, the church or religious, the church, the in Vancouver, the worst corner was where the library was, made in Hastings. You hear it rock down the whole way. You could get cracked right off the bat. And that's where they'd bring you when you're marginal. I had Rastas. They dragged me straight to there. They offered me rock right there. What a trap. And then the heroes in, the hero hotel, heroine. A lot of heroes died on that. On that horse with no name. It's heroin. In the Hotel California, this underworld, you can't get out of because what happens is they separate also the good knights, all the good knights, the apostles. And because they wrote the Bible, we're stuck in the religious structure of Jesus and the empire and the Trinity. I'd say 4 or 5 would be better. 5 are still exclude someone sometimes. if there's two. Well, no, he actually goes with one or the other. It avoids equality of vote. But five would create the pyramidal thing as a structure. It's strong because five people stuck together. It's hermetic and all that, and then you get whatever's below and whatever's above. In the new structure, it's people are up here. The majority, the black, green, red, yellow, purple, pink, orange kind of order, I think, logically, because people have colors, and that there's also the language of the body when they do stuff and the colors they wear, the color of the scarf, this is constraint or like a dog leash, the tie is like a dog leash. It's whatever is holding them in leash or what they're working for. Is it red or blue, good or evil? Because I would love you. You was stolen. Also, what they do in time of war is they take all your popular words, especially the ones that mean good, like health or something, or taking care of oneself, and they'll take those and they'll use it to talk about. They'll invent this street name for drugs or addictive stuff or habits, or they'll take whatever everything that surrounds you and that you work with, and they'll call drugs with one of those objects or names that you use often. So you end up remembering that, and then whatever you have fun with, they'll make you come back to partying, destroying, smoking, and drinking and drugging yourself and killing yourself. They kill you by bringing you to parties and clubs. A club hits hard. All clubs are fascists or traps. That's why by speech and blah blah, they program all those innocent lost sheep into little fascist soldiers by printing their tape out with instructions and putting it. They have this rose that they just kiss the love and blah blah, it crawls into them and they're transformed. Those take hours of dance to take out, but they're instant. They crawl up your back instantly. Ball, flowers. Here's flowers for you. You'll get a cake at the end. Don't worry. You'll wear a black shirt tomorrow because of me. I'm contagious. So they separate the good nights by with bird calls. They'll attract one's attention, or two, or three, or four, or five, and then they'll bug them with signals that mean something evil, or they scare them, or they'll get close to them, talk to them, and be pricks to them. But usually they're really nice because they can't get caught doing anything evil. Everything do evil is underneath the table in the abyss, and they pop balloons up to the cellar that makes little roses that fuck you up and command you. You always have to clean with music when you're one and when you're a house, when you're an apartment, like me. They actually live inside me. I can command them. So yeah, they break all the good apostles, and then they parasite, and then all the good hippie girls, they all became fat and crazy, and all the hippie guys became insecure. All the good guys are shy, insecure, traumatized, in jail, dead because they were a pedophile. Pedophiles are a technique to kill the or to imprison the good night. Is whoever's good that makes it rich. Well, they'll kiss them the pedophile thing, magic thing. Just by saying pedophile, you get a pedophile that crawls into you, and all of a sudden you feel a sexual chakra when kids start. It's kind of like a mellow orgasm. Love. So, and then you feel that when kids talk, or the programs that I had a person in front of me touching love with his head when he'd hear, and I would feel it when the kids would talk. When the kids would talk, he'd yank on it. But I saw him do that. That's how I learned that it was actually a curse. Uh, so you have to all follow with love and undo all the spaghetti and crunch it and separate it and rub all the love off of it with music and twist, doing the twist and meditating or chakra dancing, and by slowly stretching all those hard spots in your movement that you don't want to move to or have to resist and push hard to move in that direction. You have to break that mold they put around you, that fascist mold, by resisting, by being blue, by contracting. Resisting is I'm always resisting because I'm always open. Every word, every sound opens me, and I'm always working. So working in my mind and on social structures and all that. I don't have any break. And whenever I hear music, it's dragging me around and making me contract this and that and follow the love that's on the top on the cellar. And then whatever you put on that, words or sounds, they will love. But they hate the sound thing because the sounds look particular and they re-kiss them all the time. Whenever they hear that sound. So they get into your head and tell you that those sounds will affect you and they re-kiss you with those sounds. They do whatever you do to them. But it's a lot easier for us to do to them because we can just speak on love from a distance and do whatever to them. But they have to come in person and connect with us to kiss that. But it takes them just 30 seconds also. And those are roses. The Godfather has a rose there. Roses because this wire pokes into your pasta. That's why the spaghetti church says it's a spaghetti monster. Because when the guy would dictate, you'd get this spaghetti when you feel the energy crawling into your crown and then go all wrapping your back up like this Spider-Man costume. And when you separate it, it becomes a whole bunch of spaghetti. So why they put a spaghetti thing on their head is because for them, since they don't believe in religion and they're out of the pyramid caves and out of the matrix, uh, they have access to the universe and universal energy and all that. And then they put it into something that people see often, especially poor people, into a spaghetti string. So so what they actually did is make it sort that rich people don't get the update because they never eat spaghetti. And most rich people are fascists because they have the money to buy private stuff and become bosses and being respected. The whole thing about fascism is being superior, dominant, and respected. And you do that no matter by whichever means. So that's why the war took in Vietnam and everywhere. It took control of the drug market first, and then they took away all mind working drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, and cannabis. That because those would help with spirituality and all that, and open the mind and all the psychedelic plants and all that. They banned those. Now we can just find speed. And once in a while you get mushrooms. Sometimes you can once a year you bump into somebody with 3 or 4 acids to sell, but it's nowhere. It's just this addictive stuff now, pills and coke and heroin. But the heroin's getting pretty rare. That they managed to transfer to pharmacies, the legal OxyContin and Dilaudid. So then what they do is they use those drugs to weaken the society. They get everybody hooked. A hooked guy on coke is always broke and always rejected because he's a cokehead. Because they end up screwing you around to get more, and they lie, and then they become swindlers and all that. So on speed, people will stay more. Good people will stay good, and it doesn't really break people. But although a good speed habit will easily could cost $20 a day, $10, $20 a day. Coke would cost at least 20 because you have to buy a quarter. So speed kind of goes fast too, but people don't tend to get broke as much with speed than with freebase and coke and heroin. Uh, so by getting everybody addicted on that, they work psychosis and schizophrenia. But those are both results of narcissistic manipulation. That's when all those good friends, because since they got all your friends away and the good girls away from you, they want to plug you on the machine, the slot machine, counting bars. In French, bars is also about the hoods. It's all aligned. So then the bars at the bar, then the bars in the machines, then the bars in your nose, and the bars at the judge. And there's other bars too. That's all just to remind French people and English people to go to the bar and destroy themselves. So those friends, what happens is when you're a good night, is the only friends you see and only kindness you see are all narcissistic, fascist hypocrites trying to screw you over and trying every day, every moment to make you do something that'll kill yourself. They're making you smoke faster by touching your fuck button and making you smoke. And asleep people don't notice it's that guy that when he touches that my hand raises to smoke, and they don't realize that it's other people that target these smoking and this feeling inside of emptiness or need or addiction need or something inside of you that make you want to smoke. And then there's these spells in the smokes and in your head and telling you, and then whatever habits you take, if you had a smoke once after eating, well, the next time you'll eat, because you printed that. So that habit will, that idea was going to come back when you eat again. So they actually created these spells that with the objects, they can on objects. They could get their friends that are in their house to, in order of what they look, to occupy the objects. So those objects are going to push you into a certain direction with these rays, invisible rays that connect your eye sees them, subconscious mind sees them. And it's kind of this, or this kind of like boiling water, that kind of mirage kind of stuff that emanates from an object. And they'll push you what to the phone, to white powder, to spoon, to veins, to ashes for crack, and whatever. They'll always push you into this sequence. They'll give you two good objects, what you good juice or something, and then what you have to do, like this drawing. So I get juice and drawing, but after that, if I pay attention, it goes white crumbs or dust or powder, and it keeps me hooked on speed. So whatever they touch and give you is haunted. It's keepsakes. It keeps aches. They can keep you in this depression. And when they can't, they call it the can't. In French, can is when, but CAMP is can't also. So they could use either word to mean the can't or the two, which they are. They're all magics, which they are. They are which. That's a bird language. Or I believe in anarchy is the I believes in anarchy. That's not true. The I believe does not live in anarchy. The I becomes and comes and comes in the in anarchy. The I be is what keeps order and good on top. It's the ID. It keeps people clean and people dressed up and protected. It's the ID. The B to B. The bee, the animal, the insect. They're going to extinct soon if we don't do something about Monsanto and Roundup. No bees, no pollen, no food. That means a black summer. Imagine everybody going nuts like Black Monday because they're starving. That's a zombie apocalypse. That must be awful, and we're pretty damn close to that. If bees disappear, we're going to depend totally on Monsanto and an evil corporation that's going to serve us only GMO food. So that's another thing. Um, so then they'll break up the families and program and give them kisses that make them want to leave. And all my families all separated in all these towns all over, and they're not even in the same town no more. The families get separated. And then what else do they do? They fuck your mothers. They'll get good guys not to meet women. And then they have this and then they show magic and manipulation and get the ears pierced because they hear what you think. And then they have these triggers that ask you questions. They can know your name, where you're at, and from a distance. Whenever I work on the energy, I get these clients that show up just to kiss me, to put it back, because they know where I'm at. The eye knows. That's why they all see. Uh, so that's all the whole big deal. And then they showed this game that is conflictual and that keeps people from touching love. When you do the robot and you're all loose and you think, that's when you're free. That's because we broke a part of the tape, the fascist tape we erased, and then you have all this section of your movement that's uncontrolled all of a sudden. People freak out. Oh, I'm not controlled. I'm not controlled. I don't know what to do. I'm free. Ah! But what you do is you lean on love. That will put the teeth back on. And that Christmas tree you lean on, or the tree you lean on, is opposed. That's why they have pole dancers, because those strippers would go up those tubes, those U-tubes, and crawl up your brain and command you, and then try to give you killing commands and stuff. They'll scare you. They even play with your heart. They drill these pointy things up your heart. You feel it poking your heart. It's pretty scary. I decided I'd try it to the end. That's why I won. Because I didn't get scared of the heart attacks or nothing. Not even the demon, whatever thing I saw, that Balrog thing. Two shall not pass. Then I ended up with Saruman as a roommate. Those narcissistic perverts are real mages. And then they have all the sequences protect one another and back one another up. And there's this trigger that makes everything pop back up once you're almost done. 45 minutes of dancing, it just crawls right back in a flash. When you look at this object, you tag once you were done. The first object you look at tags and kisses you back. And then you get it back, and you're always restarting the sequence of dancing, and it's long. But at least you're playing with love, and it makes you feel nice. So you can dance and dance forever, and it feels good at least. And it kills evil when you feel love. So, but it's a pain in the ass, and they keep on bringing those roses over. Roses are fascist. Hearts are fascist. Jesus' heart has spikes on it. That's a drilly. And then it has a flame up here. That's the ET thing. It's the way that's way open, the wake up. The wake up is the grail. It's this V thing up here that opens up. And that's why V-necks, they're showing you they have the energy. And that's so, yeah, they took control of the hand. And then they dropped her alone with kids that they had from the good night. So a woman with kids has a lot, especially 3, 4 kids, has a lot more trouble and less time to meet another guy because of the kids. So what happens? And then the kids, well, the mother is alone, and then when you live alone, the rent is more expensive and all that. So she's broke all the time. So she most likely will get jealous about people having money and want more in order to be able to be loved by one, the old one, the Burger King, or the Burger King spawn of the hypocrites and the assholes like him that would screw everybody over and try to win, and crush everybody that was coming up, and then just kill whoever was making it almost to the top, wanting to remain in control of their whole life and having things run their way. Well, I guess that could be fun, but it's a lot more fun when you see other people's ideas and let everybody run the show. You see stuff you'd never do if you wouldn't let any other people participate and create stuff. So, yeah, they took the hand and then they control the head. They kiss the hand, the woman, they show her magic. They bring her right wing because right has the power. Right is what? Is privatization, and hydroelectricity in Quebec would leave and become private, and prices would raise. And then the dictature, the corruption would end up in a dictature. Extreme right would get everybody poor and dying. The middle class would disappear to poor class, and then this minority being rich, and all services abolished and privatized and more expensive because the monopoly thing happens. So this whole capitalist game has to change. We have to change this capitalism because it's eating its own tail like an Ouroboros. And in monopoly, there's only one person that's having fun at the end. It's the guy that owns everything, and the majority, and that has the most cash that can do what he wants. Cash would give a lot of freedom, but it doesn't give power. Power is the mind gives power, and the collective effort takes the power. Now we took the power. The pyramid is no more. The pyramid is an hourglass to the next. And the top, we're like this, the king is kind of in the middle, the one. So, and up there, there's the eye. So, whoever the majority of people that have the values good enough to influence the ones below are on top and going down to the number one. So all what they're doing is all their common energy is influencing and kind of controlling one. But one you don't really control that easy because he's always resisting. Because there's always something opening up, because everything opens up. He had evil blasting all this evil shit onto it, and then you had good blasting all the love onto it. So it became one, became black and white. It can deal with white as well as it deals with black. If the white's nice, you get all these white shirt up here and you speak white. If he's nice, if he's trying stuff in your mind, that's when you start kissing him. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing, they're making you speak that way, and you're speaking that way because they're dangerous. And fascists, they taught everybody how to kill each other, and they equipped people like punks. You go to a punk fest, every person you cross makes you want to have a smoke. And all the good punks are in love with a can of tobacco and are lonely and look ugly because something is telling them to be ugly. Something is telling them to have suicidal tendencies. Something is telling them to sabotage themselves. Something is telling bosses not to give them jobs. So, and then everything they could sabotage about a punk and resistance life, they kissed into them, and especially me, a good night, and somebody that got used to magic and learned. I learned from being an experienced a scapegoat. They tried all these tricks. I remembered them, and then I understood that when I feel that, they make you believe it's yours, but they feel it too. Because if they know they're on it, it's because they're feeling it too. But they manage to make you believe that you're, because it makes you smoke or something, or they can control your breath when they're touching that. Well, they make you think that you're powerless, and you get dominated all the time and lose. That's why everybody got evil. And then all the women were evil or right wing, and all the nicest women were interested in what money, power, and luxury, and had a nice vagina because they're pretty. So they all went red wing too. All the unicorns, the mermaids, the princesses. The princess is a fucking whore. They were turning because that mother that ends up alone that wants money, well, has this devil talking to her about being a hooker all the time. And even their girlfriends become hookers in the gangster land. Wow, well, isn't that fun having your girlfriend get laid all the time with other people just for money? That's sick. Uh, so they were actually privatizing and putting a price on everything. Another fascist effect, but that's a capitalist economical version of the fascism. Because capitalism is some creates and encourages a lot and helps fascism because of the value of money and that material you can buy to look good. Fascists will always have the nicest image, and they'll be very charismatic and very manipulative and opportunity taking, and they'll play in people's mind, and they manage to take control of everybody's mind. And the other rooster, the two, he controls people all the time. And when he controls them, they're all evil, excluding me. If he controls the fat red guy with the big guy with the fist and the cane starts walking in front to discourage me or other good people. And they're always being scared of what the bullet, the knife, or the getting hit, or getting all these weird kisses. So they all end up working with evil because they started being nice and showing this game and started showing magic and stuff like that. But the whole game is maintaining conflict and keeping people away from love. And that's all you need is love. All you need is to lean on love, and you're okay. And you don't need anything anymore. So they were trapping and swindling people into not loving one another, and by dominating each other and swindling and being a traitor and being hypocrites to one another. All couples would be trying this game on me all the time. I'd always be linked with the woman, and the guy's knuckles would always flash, and he'd always look like he was gonna hit me. Every couple I'd see, especially the evil ones, they screw you over. They play this game, and she pretends that she wants your dick, and the guy doesn't feel the love, and the guy pretends he doesn't know, but and notice that your dick is flashing, and somebody shouldn't be there, but I don't know why I'm thinking about this all the time. It's because she's playing with it from a distance. That's why I have my mind focused there. But that's actually a game that gives opportunities to the woman to find somebody that she could fuck. and they always end up fucking around, those couples. Because and then plus the good couples, only the woman would, because of the link with Satan, showed her love, because not everybody feels the love. You have to be open, realize, and the chakra open. So she would always feel love with other guys, not with her boyfriend. So after 5, 6 years, and 7 years of that, she ends up finding 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities, and because she trigger stuff that the other guy says that reminds her of a really good lay all the time, indirectly in bird language or with words that mean sex stuff, like come. Coming has nothing to do with sex, but that's the good word they took to dirty up, to make you think about sex all the time. Because you lose come all the time. Come here, come there, and go, you know. And then in French, santé is health. Well, when you do cheers, that's santé. They put the health thing to beer, wine, to drinking. So they get all these words linked to evil, and all the holy words linked to evil, or they make you say them in anger. So that negates the energetic effect and the mantra of the thing you're saying. If you say it with anger, it gives a negative effect, not the positive effect, or no effect at all, because there was anger in it. So they'll take your religion, and then they'll take the words you use the most and dirty them. So after a while of that, then you come back to society, and the way people are talking to you is with all these evil words that keep you drowning all the time. And they don't do it on purpose. That's what goes through their mind, because it triggers out of yours, and so talk about this, talk about that, say this word. So they're all saying these things you already heard, or make sense to you that you already thought. And why did you talk about that? I just thought of that. Why did they know that? And they kind of know stuff about you. That's because the questions that they put in your mind, that you stool yourself, you rat on yourself, because your subconscious can only obey and take pictures. So when they have a command, if you don't hear it, you can't do the opposite, because you're not even aware you're having a command, but you're actually obeying this command. And a lot of people, 80%, I'd say, are sleepwalking on this command thing. And even most of the things they think about doesn't even come from their own intention. It's this pyramid game and fascist game that's trying to make them happy in order to manipulate them and make them trust them, because those voices will try to gain your trust. And once you answer, they know they can harass you. They know you can hear them. So that's where when they start giving all those commands to your mind, it's all fuck ups and screw overs and things that makes it start all over and then keep you in a downward spiral and rejected and on this and that, and Christ dynamic or sabotage dynamic, or it keeps women from wanting you. I look at my Badu meeting picture, and there was this voice saying, don't cruise them, don't take them, don't. And only a fat woman would like my picture all the time. I don't have anything against fat women, but a lot of them are traitors, hypocrites, and dominant creeps with big knees, because they had to swindle to get fucked. They had to screw the guy's mind and play with sex button to make him want to fuck them, because they're less attractive, because society made them less attractive. But normally, people that go fat should be evil people, because they can kiss people habits that keep them fat. That's another way they kill, with fat. Then don't kill with sugar. And then what other way that they kill? With party, with clubs. Then what else do they? Separate families, cultural places. And this is all, and then with this narcissistic underground manipulation and the street manipulation by scaring everybody and having them not touch love and playing this silly game, well, they maintain power and authority and manage to buy and to paralyze the state, getting everybody on state medication and everybody to the asylum, because they can provoke schizophrenia by just parasiting your mind and making you hear voices and implanting them in your mind. Then you go, oh, I hear voices. No, you're schizophrenia. No, you're in the camp, you're living cancer, mental cancer, and all your friends are toxic. Because since you never make good friends, because they all kept away with the spell and attitude people have, and people distract them when they think about you. They keep them from thinking about each other by putting stress, disturbance, or at those places in their mind. Well, the only kindness you see is the narcissist and the toxic personalities that depress you, and that use you and steal from you and abuse of you, and then destroy your reputation, make you lonely, destroy your life. I got a wheelchair as a girlfriend. I got the worst black widow that stole my friend, drowned me in organized crime, and screwed around as much as she could to make me look silly. And then every time I'd have try to exit, the door was already locked. She thought about it. She was using instructions. And then there was even Daddy's little monster on the Harley Quinn costume. She decided to disguise herself like my worst enemy, like my killers, Harley Quinn. Those head rush guys. I've been tattooing my killer for 7 years. He's one of my most friendly clients, and he pays me a bit of speed and this and that. And he used to try to get me to do coke and introduce me to a coke dealer that wanted tattoos that give me coke all the time. They've been trying forever to get me hooked and out of business and sabotaging my business name in the mind space where it says don't call there. And he's no good or whatever, and all these bad comments about the business. So the clientele goes down, and I never get new or a rolling client flow, and I never got good revenue and all that because I'm boycotted. So the boycott, they'll be a nuisance. They'll distract you, keep you from performing, from being good, from looking good. And that's all to the good night on the baseball bat. So the difference, they're actually killing good people. So, because those take care of the society, family, strong families make strong societies. And then they parasite the nerds because they're intelligent. Because if they get the nerds on drugs, well, number two can become the hired physician that creates all the hired biologist that creates the viruses to kill everybody because they think there's too many people on the planet. They will sell you addictive stuff. They will sell sugar to your kids. They just want to make money. They would put slavery back and prostitution back. And then they kill the pedophile because that's a good night. That's been manipulated. And the guy that beats his girlfriend is the guy like me that got a wheelchair that actually beats him. And he gets accused of beating her because they always go with the guy. And then you have to sue her. Getting out of the sewers is impossible. All the laws, because the fascism made it into the government, all the laws maintain this thing, and they cost you a fortune to learn that you can't really see your kid or this and that. You won't have anything after the divorce if you're a guy. They want a guy working his ass off all the time with nothing, trying to keep up. Then they want girls to lay blue eggs, to lay little fascist dinosaurs. So they took control of the hen and the egg and sabotaged the society and crawled in with a Trojan horse. Corporations are above ground. Fascist instance or capitalist instances, but fascism owns most of them, or Nazis, because the Nazi companies made money in the war, like Bayer, that made the chemical products for the gas chambers. So that's basically their techniques, and it's by becoming best friends. They'll be they'll make you feel good. They'll kind of valorize you, but then they'll always be bugging you by speaking with someone and being always intrusive, and you're always awake, and you're drained, your battery's drained, and then they distract you when you see the good stuff to show you bad stuff. The same with good and bad people. And they surround you with toxic people that destroy you and depress you and make you lonely. And then as a logic, continuity to loneliness is drugs, because that gives you the company you need because you're lonely. So that makes the good night a psycho, schizophrenic, and neurosis, and all the mental illnesses are all due to narcissistic occupation and mind destruction. With those comments, different sequences of comments will create different kinds of illnesses. So I was wondering what Alexa was. And then what happened? No, Alexa said something. I just transformed into I don't know what. I forgot what I was saying. It's been a while. I'm almost done. So it's narcissists that make illnesses and mental illnesses. It's by speaking evil. That's why they say no evil. Because when you say evil, evil grows. If you speak about illnesses and put it on the love, well, that person will attract that illness. Now I'm saying illness with hate. Hate. So it hurts you a bit. So you don't love those bad words. It's all because of narcissism. And excluding one person, like the Christ or the number one or the best, or the one most likely to succeed, the scapegoat, to find a victim to pee on, to shit on or whatever, is first of all choosing a boss, because you're all focused on his house when that happens. So he's actually the master, but the alpha master makes him think he's not, but he's actually the most well equipped to rivalize against the ace of spades, the number two. And it's a scapegoat. That's why they have all these cranes of rams with staffs on them, because the scapegoat is very powerful. He's just not aware of his power. But the person that are always scapegoated will most likely awaken most of the time. But the first to start alarming instances in authority and people about mental illness and psychosis are the fascists. I had friends make me do 2 months of hospital because I got mad, and then they managed to get my mother into thinking I was on a psychosis, and then the police come and get you, and they lock you up in this asylum, or this mental institute, medicate the shit, just wiping the water off the floor, while they're not even fixing the reason why you're schizophrenic or psychosis, and they blame it on drugs. Just the fact of meeting a dealer kisses you a downward spiral and 9-inch snails and nails in your sequence, and it keeps you addicted. It gives you objects and habits to tag things to create around yourself a shield of toxic influences that keep you on white powder and ashes and smokes. Uh, and then, but it's people can do psychosis without doing drugs. Marijuana doesn't cause psychosis. It's from dealing with a dealer. They all kiss. They all give roses. They all screw you over so you come back all the time. And it's by making mental links in your head telepathically. So there's a lot of mental narcissistic manipulation, and this exclusion and scapegoating is a cannibalistic attitude. In the Black Summer, they would be the cannibals. They would be those really good people that invite you and kill you to eat you. They charm you by being extremely nice. They charm you by being your best friends. They'll pretend to be sad when you tell them to fuck off. They don't actually care. They're on a mission to kill you. But they can't just kill you. They have to get you to kill yourself or to commit suicide. Or they drive you nuts and shut you up with a mental illness. Nobody speaks to you and believes you and takes you seriously when you've been diagnosed with schizophrenia or, or psychosis. But you're stuck with all this paranormal stuff to explain that you're living, that you know is not an illness, it's an awakening. It's being in touch with your emotions and what you do unconsciously. You control people from a distance. It's your unconscious or subconscious that does that. And by touching this and that, and reacting at certain moments. And with movies, They program you to have a toke every time you hear love, or have a toke every time you hear the opposite sex, or you know, and then they program you to destroy yourself because they think they need to kill people because they think there's too many people. No, we just have to adapt our alimentation, the way we eat, what we eat to vegan. We feed 20 more, 20 times more people, and just act intelligently and create less artificial needs for people and feed everybody and to invest in food instead of war. This is just because they're putting all the money in war that there's no place for a bigger table. That's silly. This is their game they have to win again. And Amazon, well, that's because they're after the Amazon. If they got Brazil, all those companies, the Nazis, they were going to Asia. That's what the swastika was doing. And en Nazi in French is in Asia. And it's Nazi. URSS, bird language, to say URSS. The SS officials were SS. So there's a secret language hiding on the secret collaboration of really good friends, charismatic friends, and kangaroos, camp gurus that become gurus. Gurus are all manipulators. They, 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 they tempt you and manipulate you into believing what they say and to worshiping them, to becoming their followers. You should never believe in nothing. You should always become. Because whatever we say will become a reality when we're in the right here position and in position of power, or I'd say influence, is a lot more less conflictual because it's not degrading and it's not, you're just influencing. Everybody can influence if they want to. So, and then the X pyramid, well, the one is influencing in a dictator way all the evil people, right wing people that wanted the right wing government and system. Well, they have their system and their reality and their little tiny little garbage pyramid down in the garbage. And then they get the influence of all good influence on earth. That's why the upside down pyramid in the Louvre appeared. They did the hole in the sky because they opened up the energy that we were blocked. The wall was that thing blocking the energy. Pink Floyd, the wall. So basically, they affect the psychic mind. They manipulate. They use narcissists. Those little Snapchat animals is because they call it the zoo. They have animals. Animals will instantly do avoid or do this, and you can command the animals not to do this and that. And inside their mind, animals understand your language. But if you speak to them, cats, I don't know if they understand, but they don't look like it. But if it's set in their mind, you can tell them not to touch this or that. My roommate gets them not to touch his evil things that keep you kissed all the time and keeps him from touching his love. Because usually a cat has the instinct of getting people out of the attic and grabbing that love and yanking it down. That tentacle that wants to crawl back all the time, well, it takes it off of your roof thing. So Luke Skywalker, they have a mall in a complex that's called Skywalker. It's because he's the one. He's a leader. He's a natural born leader, and that's why he has the Force gifts. That's why he's a Jedi. The why all the Jedi's had disappeared. That's because I felt like the last man standing. Everybody, I was on a fascist program to make the economy go good and to make rich people richer. That was the only reason. Fascism is being better than another and winning with intimidation and manipulation and swindling, hypocrisy and treachery. That's fascism. So I didn't have time to talk about anarchism, but basically, anarchy would be the opposite of fascism. Anarchy would be kind of evil, like fascists that kill, towards evil and bad people. Anarchy would be in the mind. It's this mind psychic control that guides or commands people or dictates people. It's by this inner mental social hierarchy, but the people orientated, people on top, not presidents or political parties. So basically, anarchy writes bad night on Harley Quinn's back. And it does not try to stop organized crime because everybody has a place. And that will always exist. May as well accept it and take the best out of it, which is using those drugs and those parties and bars and clubs and all that to drag evil narcissists into and to kill them. First, you try to love and transform them, but if they're stubborn and keep on acting evil and being a nuisance, or somebody that puts a stick in your wheels, well, they can have fun playing around with Chucky and death and illness and whatever. And to live in a dictatorial pyramid with this boss shitting on his head and that's taking all the money for his personal benefit because he's a boss. Everything should be a cooperative. People should have most of the money because they're actually making the place run. That would be an industrial revolution. But a revolution never stops. A revolution is in the mind. Anarchy is in the mind. It's the dictature of the virtue. Just, virtuous, and reasonable people are on top. The one with marginal true values influence the ones that don't have good values to make them, to love them into becoming some person that maintain the same standards and wisdom. Anarchy is a mix of chaos and order. It's like a circle with chaos in the middle, and the circumference would be the order, keeping chaos from spreading. But it doesn't. Order doesn't destroy chaos; it just contains it. Even I'm not sure if it contains a fraction of chaos, because the whole universe is chaos. No stars. There's no regular structure on how stars appear in space. It's all chaotic. It's chaos. It works well. Uh, Fish swim chaotically. Trees grow chaotically. P is chaotic. P is at the basis of the circle, the most perfect shape, and it's the most chaotic number. It just never stops. It is unregular. So you don't fight against chaos, but you don't put chaos to destroy all the infrastructure either. You don't riot because you don't promote destruction. Anarchy is peace and wisdom, and it's in your mind. It's all those signs that you'll be getting starting from now, from wearing a black shirt. It's all the common sense, and it'll show you signs of what you need to do by attracting your attention to it and to guiding you into the way of the sun, like the two towers were the parents and the son that they would shove and straighten out so he'd go straight to the sun. And then he would keep them facing forward too by separating them, keeping them from corrupting each other, to doing evil stuff. Those were the two towers. It was a social structure. It was a triad structure. And with the two parents, the positive, negative, the two sects, the two towers. But it's a two and the four that should rule, not threes. Threes are attacked because they go in like a V, they're pointy or double pointy. And that's an attack formation, an odd number. So basically, anarchy is you write bad night on Harley Quinn's bad. So Harley Quinn, you kind of make her participate in the Joker too. They participate in maintaining order like they maintain the order in a fascist state. By scaring people, they control their behavior and make them buy stuff and be ordered. Because intimidation does maintain some sort of order. It's more likely to maintain a control and a dominance intimidation because they'll try to scare you, do something you don't like, or play with a lie of yours that you don't like to hear in your head to keep you from touching the love or acting normally that would actually put them back into their place. So that intimidation will be used in order to maintain evil people in a good direction or to kill them if they are dangerous. And deserve to die. It's some sort of karma. And the people in the below pyramid will live with chiefs like they want and leaders like they want. But the leaders are more in the upper upside down. Leaders attract followers, and followers want to follow. Chiefs and presidents are elected, but they can dictate in some sort of way, and evil parties make evil links in the mental mind space to get people to vote for them and think about it, and they manipulate people's mind by manufacturing consent, like Noam Chomsky says. And with this lie and story in this Bible, they maintained in this cage. The church is a cage. It's keeping you from the universe energy, and it's keeping you intimidated by putting in front this cadaver of your hero that would take care of you the most, Jesus. God exists because we thought of it, and it becomes a celestial entity, a collective mind, soul. But I don't believe in that God. I don't worship that God. I won't become somebody that worships that God. That God has no power over me. That is not my master. Because he won't be my master. He won't influence me because I don't believe in that. I'm a theist with spiritual values, more Hinduist, chakra related, and energy. We have to redo the religions so it migrates to physics. A religion that you can physically prove. You can prove spirit and aura and stuff like that, and chakras will continue that way. So anarchy is like a dome. It's a mind space within space. And religions are also covered with a dome where knowledge comes in from the divinity and is propagated in a pyramidal way for Christians to people below, making them behave and scare each other with crucifixion and all that. It's an intimidating. They put in the heart is a trap. People with a big heart are a trap, and it's all. And then they're making them wear this thing on their neck. Isn't that silly? Yes, it's, this Roman thing is going on for 2,000 years. It was about time that we opened and realized that. And then, as long as we believe in that and that propagates, we'll be stuck in that. You'll be stuck in that cage. It only gives three options: hell, heaven, and purgatory. Heaven and hell are on earth, and probably the purgatory too. I lived through hell. Metalheads took possession of hell. Hell is not dangerous, and it's not this hell. It's all these metal people helping each other and listening to metal music and marginals in hell. They took, they threw over Satan and Lucifer. What they mean in our minds, they took and changed those things, behaviors, by acting like them and using their names and appropriating their names, like fascists did with most of our words. We corrected the meaning of those words and took the power away from fascists with music. Now, anarchy is the opposite of fascism. It's order maintained by the dissipation of evil. All good people live eternal freedom because they never do nothing wrong. So they're totally free and they don't want to do anything wrong because there's no jealousy trinity that excludes someone that rules. Well, if somebody is that, well, they'll take care of them and take them as a leader because that's a natural born leader. Anarchism will give total freedom, or it will give this terrible dictatorial nightmare for people that are evil, that will be confronted to death. It will kill like Christians, but it will kill evil. Anarchy kills. Anarchy loves. Anarchy is black and white. Because half black, half white is left and right collaborating. So, and it's in the mind. You'll never get anarchy with all the media treating it like chaos and civil war in people's head. You'll never get anarchy in the country, and plus, it's impossible to run a place with and so much money without having people administrating it. So all these administrators will need to be voted anyways. You cannot take money away. You need some way to calculate trade. It's not efficient enough to trade with goods only. You need this some sort of currency to balance things out. And then to you have to kind of run and protect people with laws because all those evil people in the bottom pyramid that try to take over the world and dominate one another and kill each other might try it on good people. And they're the first ones to drag you to court for a stupid reason and sue you because they managed to get you mad, or they managed to get you to hit them, or they managed to get you to fuck their daughter, or they managed to convince you to doing something wrong by manipulating you. It's always a good night that's get incarcerated and ends up in the asylum or in jail. Well, not always. A lot of evil gangsters get into jail too, but a lot of the woman beaters is all good knights that were manipulated and screwed, and the crazy woman jumped on them. They defended themselves and got picked up for beating her. Then they get punished in jail. Thereafter, woman beaters and pedophiles. Pedophiles and women beaters are victims. Our good knights have been corrupted into, and by destabilizing, managed to, but with the right comments, provoke them to do something wrong with the right opportunity. It's as simple as that. So you would need someone, this elected few, but the elected few are below in the hierarchy, and the people are dictating what they want into are influencing those politicians that are elected. You still would have elections in anarchy. Uh, you'd still have some sort of government or state, but it would not be power over people. It would be people over power with anarchy. People would be able to command the leaders if they want, or dictate the leaders if they want, if they're pricks or being corrupt. Uh, so that's a quick run. It's been a long. I'll do another video about anarchy, but you kind of get the picture. It's ses amis bon. Ses amis is his friends in French, and bon is maids because they're maids. All the words pull their pants down. That's why they want people to sign. To make a sign sing is a swan, and a teal swan is me. It's the evil me. It's my nemesis. It's Violet's, the purple one's boyfriend that takes all the hits while she puts magic on you. Anyways, this is enough. Uh, Fascism is intimidation and mind control, magic and manipulation, hiding behind psychiatry that shuts people up and makes money and drains the state by putting everybody on organ and on welfare and medication, and then destroying the good night, making them homeless, costs money to the state. So they're all weakening the state with their Trojan horse and corporations that run off with all the state money into paradises where they don't pay taxes. They're, 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 there's a hole in countries' budgets because of multinationals and corporations. Plus, they cut all the trees down, and then they say we're global warming. Well, we don't have any more lungs to get rid of the gas effect gases. It's because of the trees that were cut that we're having those problems. It's because they've already cut too many trees that the planet is warming, plus all those emissions. There's two sides to that medal. So that's another subject. So be anarchist. It's anarchy, equality, animal liberation, and it's the reign of virtue and reason, and it's in your mind. Anarchy is a mental control or inspiration, a mental order of control or inspiration. So have a nice one. I hope you like this this video. Don't forget to subscribe and to like this video. And go see my other videos. I have tons of long speeches about weird principles and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to have you added to the Psychic Punk Prana Generator list. Bye-bye. Woo.